things about trading Forex is that you don't actually know exactly which trade is going to be a crazy winner or just another loss.
What's up, everybody? We are currently live.
We'll take away the weekly.
Trace back down to what confidence that price is going to be bullish.
Point sort of chasing the market. I was more than happy to stay flat.
Hello everyone.
With the kangaroo toe,
always recommend trading on the 5 minute.
some of these exotic pairs and pretty steady uptrend, making these higher highs and higher.
Mostly trend following.
The stimulus in a certain way.
Hey guys, welcome back to the stream. I'm Niamh Forex and I'm here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. GMT. And today I'm just sort of returning from a 2-week break. I've been sort of taking some time off the charts just to sort of give myself a reset. Went on vacation, which was really good. Just give myself a little bit of time away from the market. But before I begin, I'll just wait for a few more people to come through. But yeah, what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to run through what trades I've been involved with and what I've been watching, and how I've sort of come back from being away on vacation and then being able to come back focused and ready to sort of start again. So yeah, it's good to be back. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I'll get into it for you guys. I'm going to start with my watch list. So today I had ECAD, EJ, GCAD, USD-JPY, CAD-JPY, CJ, and CAD-CHF. So they were the pairs that I was watching today. So that's what sort of got was qualified to sort of get on my watch list today. And I'll run through every single one with you individually. And then I also just want to give you guys a little update. Thank you, Julie. Thank you very much. Welcome back. It's good to be back. But yeah, I'm going to run through also what I've been up to with gold. So the last stream that I did, I think I was backtesting gold, if I remember rightly. And it is going really well. I am actually enjoying like sort of adding gold to my portfolio, being involved with gold. It's always been something that I've wanted to trade because I've seen so many people trade it and have insane risk reward with it sometimes, especially if you're coming off sort of 4-hour and daily key levels. There's a lot of potential with gold, I think. And I've really enjoyed it. It's very volatile though. So I think you need to come to terms with Forex, so currency pair volatility, before you go on to move on to the metals, because they can be a little bit volatile to start with. It is a tricky pair as well, so it took me a while to sort of adjust to that. Hi Wayne, thanks for tuning in. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'll start with gold and then I'll go on to the Forex bit, just so that I'm keeping everything a little bit separate for you guys. Let me just go ahead and get my gold screen up. Put in the comments as well, what have people been trading today? Has anybody been involved in the markets? Have you just been watching? Anything that I've missed? Anything you want me to look at? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go into gold. Wait for a few of the comments to pull through as well, if there's anything that anybody's been involved with today. And I just want to talk about this sort of swing trade that I was involved in. It is on a demo account because I am obviously still backtesting this. I don't want to go straight into a live account if you want to be consistently profitable, you need to start small. You need to go through the demo stage, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, says Hannah's been scalping on US 30. Nice. US 30 is something that I want to get involved with as well. Again, another very volatile volatile pair. So it is something that I'm going to have to sort of adjust to. But yeah, happy with the way gold's going at the moment. So I'm going to have a little chat to you guys just about my thoughts and my process with this gold trade that I was looking at. So this was back before the weekend. So this was the Friday. It was the Friday that I actually got involved with this. And what I liked about it was the higher time frames. So if we just have a look on the daily here, you can see that price made highs of roughly 1912, and it just plummeted. And this was at the start of June, so this has been going on for quite a while. And then it's pulled back towards the end of June, start of July, and it's just been sort of sitting around this region here. So between 1830 and I want to say 1795. No, I'll say 1790. So it's been sitting between 1830 and 1790. So just this sort of region here. And I liked how price previously looked like it was going to come higher. The 9 and the 21 EMA crossed. The 9 coming through a little bit there. And then the volume on this was looking great for longs as well. However, it did come lower. This isn't something that I was trading. I was just sort of observing, just because there weren't many specific key levels that I was looking at. And then if we go onto the 4 hour, I think you'll be able to see it a little bit clearer. You can see that price has come up to roughly 1830 region, 1835, and it's come lower previously, and then the wicks have just been rejecting this downside region here, and this has sort of acted like a little bit of a support region as well. So you can see between 1795 and 1790, only a few wicks have been testing that sort of zone. So it's been a bit of a sort of zone of indecision, I call it. And this is gold, by the way, boys. And so as you can see, XAU US dollar on the back of the screen, it is quite hard to see there. And I'm looking on the 4 hour chart currently. So with this, I liked the setup. So I liked how it was coming higher. I didn't enter here just because I don't like taking trades on higher time frames at the moment. It isn't something that I've back tested or I'm comfortable with. So going on the half hour, the time this sort of shot off was 7:30, 8 o'clock GMT. And for me and for gold and for what I've back tested, it isn't a great time to sort of be looking to buy gold at that time. There's not much volatility or movement. So yeah, I wouldn't even be sort of paying attention to the charts at that time. That's my trading session over. Between 3, 4 o'clock GMT, I sort of switch off because there's not much of an opportunity for me to get involved within the market. So let's just continue with the 4 hour, talk about this a little bit more. So that's the reasons why I didn't sort of take this long opportunity, because there was no sort of great entry signal. It wasn't in my time frame of trading or time zone of trading. So yeah, it came higher. It tested this region here above the 1830 to 1835 region, and it did come lower. So what I liked about this was how price, like a lot of the time, it just repeats itself, and I found that with gold, and it's a great asset to sort of use support and resistance with. I'm not going to sit here and say using support and resistance will be able to give you a profitable system with gold, because we've got a few indicators there that help me, such as the 9 and the 21 EMA. which are these two lines here. So the blue line being the 9 EMA, and then the 21 being the red one as well. EMA stands for exponential moving averages, and they go off the previous 9 candles and the previous 21 candles as well on each time frame. So with the MACD indicator as well, what I like to do, I like to look for, if I'm going short, I like to look for short opportunities. So I think, if I remember rightly, I actually entered this on the 15-minute. It's quite a big trade, so I'm going to have to sort of break this down a little bit on the 15-minute a little bit more. So as you can see, price has reached this key level here. It's sort of consolidated around this region, and it was consolidating all morning on the Friday. So I thought, well, if it's not going any higher, this potentially might come lower to a key point, and we might be able to get some decent risk reward out of this. So I stayed tight. I was just being patient. I was watching the market. And what I'll do is, guys, just so that you guys know, this is the Asian range that I use as like another parameter. And if you guys are wondering, I do use the ASFX system. So if you want to check that out, just check out at Austin Silver FX on Instagram. You'll be able to see what sort of course he offers. I have tweaked it a little bit myself just to sort of cater for my trading needs and whatnot. But it is definitely a great fundamental, especially if you want to learn the professional way of how to actually trade a profitable system and build your own if that doesn't suit you. Hey RT, thanks for tuning in, appreciate that. You can also check out RT's streams as well. He goes on later on in the week. I'm not quite sure what day you're on. If you can pop it in the comments, I'll give you a shout. So just carrying on with gold here. As you can see, it was quite choppy throughout the Asian range, and the Asian range is a parameter I use to determine how volatile the pair will be throughout the day. So if you don't see a break of the Asian range throughout the rest of the trading day, usually it does tend to sort of chop about, and you don't really get much movement off that. So yeah, you can catch RT as well Mondays and Thursdays with him doing the live stream. So just keep up to date with A1 Trading on the Instagram, and you'll be able to see what sort of lineup we've got in place. But he's a great guy also to reach out to with your trading and whatnot. So going on and talking about the Asian range, it is quite important. Like I said, it does help, especially if you've not got much movement. Price can actually start chopping throughout the day and not have a break of the Asian range. But what I liked about this was this actual candle breaking the Asian range itself. So because of that, that gave me a little bit more of an indication that this could potentially go lower. So I'll just quickly have that sort of candle formation marked up for you, just so that you can see. One thing that I love about candle formations is that when you can see a solid candle formation, it gives you so much confidence that price is going to come lower. I am explaining gold currently, so if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. So it's coming off the 21 EMA. It's breaking through the 9 as well. The 9 EMA is still being held, which means that shorts are in play here. And then if we look on the volume indicator at the bottom as well, I'll just blow this up a little bit just so that you can see this a little bit better. You can see that for the majority of the day, we've had a lot of sellers volume to play around here. A little bit of buys here and there, but mostly you can see that the sellers have sort of come out to play. So that means that 9 times out of 10, you're looking at shorting this as an opportunity, especially with the higher time frames involved going against this sort of key level. So I seen the shift candle. I thought it was great. Wasn't the largest candle of the day, which is good. So it wasn't overextended. So it was this candle here at 1 a.m. That was the largest candle. So I can't really sit here and say it was overextended. And then after this candle, I've seen this brilliant downtrend candle straight after that. And I thought, brilliant, this is going well. But what I've noticed about gold, it can be so volatile within an hour, and then it can just sort of drop off after that. So you can catch a great trade within 2R, 3R, and then it sort of chops about. But what I'm trying to succeed with gold, I'm trying to sort of get a swing sort of system in play. So I'm not looking at closing trades straight away. So what I tried to do with gold, I tried to hold this over the weekend and maximize my profits out of this and try and get as much R multiples as possible. You could call me greedy a little bit, which I could potentially agree with as well. But with the greed, I also implemented stop losses in profit. So I'll go through those with you as well. Okay. So I'll go through my first target, my secondary target, and then I was also going for a third target as well. So I always like to start with 2R. So I think 2R's a great R multiple as a startup. So, oh, sorry guys. So this was my first target. I went for 2.3R. Sorry, bear me a second. It was just 18. It was 1817. So I went for 1817 as my initial. So it was 2.6R. And the reason behind that was because I thought 2R, I didn't think there was sort of like a key level that would sort of close off. So I thought if it does get to 2R, I'll just put my stop in profit. But I was happy with the 2.6. I liked the region of that, where that was. I liked 1817 as a key level. So I was in for 2.6R. I seen it drop massively throughout the day. I ended up holding this until literally last night when I got stopped out. So with this trade, what I liked about it was there was so much volume within the first day. So as I held this, my first target was met, which is brilliant. So what I did with this, I took 20% of the profits off and I held my stop loss in profit. So I put my stop loss just below these wicks rejecting. So I was sort of 50% in profit and then the rest I left running. So that was my target one, which was hit, and I was happy with that. I only closed 20% of that. The only reason behind that, because I thought there was a lot more potential, because as you can see, these candles just weren't slowing down at all. This candle got me a little bit concerned, sort of doji here, because I thought, oh, well, it might sort of retrace. But I thought, well, it's 5:30 in the evening. I've got my stop in profit, so I can't actually lose any money. And I may as well try and see what I can do about swinging this opportunity with it being at such a key level on the 4-hour. So if we take this back on the higher time frames, I could just see this huge long bar just continuing. So I thought there's no point me closing it now. A 15-minute. And then I found a second target. So my second target was, oh, it's a glitch where I've got to move that to pull the long down. So my second target was only partially here. And I'm quite skeptical with swing trades, so I sort of making these targets partially as I went along. And just because the wicks were sort of rejecting this region here back in the previous day, so it might have just sort of come back here and come back higher and sort of rejected off that little level. However, again, it smashed through that as well. So I just moved my stop more in profit, took 10% off because there's not much of a move here. And then my final target was down here. I just want to make sure I've got it right. So I actually went for 1800. Oh no, 1805. 1805. I was considering 1800, but I thought it might have been a bit of a stretch. Oh, typical. Give me a second, guys. I've put the wrong thing in. There we go. Right. That's fine. Right, back up to scratch. Okay. Oh no, I need to amend that slightly. That's not. Bear with, guys. Yeah. It was about 400, but I'd take 375. That's absolutely fine. It's just a rough estimate for you guys anyway. So yeah, 1805 was my second target. Sorry, no, my final target. And I was quite close and I was quite happy to sort of close that. However, it did come back higher. And I actually put my stop loss. So this 1818 is where I put my stop loss. So I thought, well, it did come back higher previously. It did break the 21 EMA a little bit. So I thought, well, maybe if I put my stop loss a little bit higher, just to that doji candle, that might be enough for it to sort of come higher, do what it needs to do and come lower. However, I did judge that quite incorrectly. So it did come higher by a few pips or so, and it did actually come lower. So I'm not too bothered about getting stopped out because I was stopped out in profit. So I still gained about 2.5, if not 3% on this. So it would have been good to obviously take advantage of that coming lower today and potentially getting a little bit more risk reward out of that. It did come lower, but again, it's been a very choppy day. So what I've noticed about gold, it will move quite considerably. And then for a few days, you won't see much movement. But I think that's quite normal for the pair to do that. And what I've found as well, it is quite news driven as well. And then if we just look at this on higher time frames, if we were to even come even lower with this, if we were successful with breaking this sort of region here, I'd even consider bringing this to the support region where you'd be getting about 8 to 9R as an average. But obviously with me taking partials, I won't be able to get as much. But it is still something that I'm sort of marking up as an idea. I'm still learning from. And it is still something that I'm quite proud of, considering it isn't something that I'm used to trading. I've gone out of my comfort zone and I've found something that potentially might work for me as well, alongside my Forex currency pairs. So it's good to always sort of keep your options open when you're trading. No pun intended. So that was my sort of thought process behind gold. Has anybody got any questions on that or anything? I think it's quite a fairly straightforward trade coming off the key levels. I like what Michael's saying there as well. Michael said accumulation, manipulation and distribution. 3 phases of any time frame. I like that. So yeah, I'm going to leave gold now anyway, just because I've shown you guys a little bit with what I've been trying to do with that. And it is all still work in progress. So if you've got any advice for me or any pointers, be more than happy to listen to you guys and just take anything on board. That'd be great. So what I'll do now, I'll go ahead and get up the Forex pairs as well, what I've been involved with today. So I've actually been involved with the markets today. Surprise. I've been really, really patient, to be quite honest with you. And it has actually paid off. It really has paid off. CAD CHF. That's fine. We'll go through that in a minute. And then Kai wants me to look at GU going short. Yeah, I'll have a look into that for you. Before I get into mine, I may as well have a look at yours, just so that I'm not sort of getting distracted. But yeah, and then CAD CHF. I think that was actually on my watch list. Yeah, CAD CHF. That was on my watch list today. But yeah, let me just have a brief look at GU. Let's have a look. GU, was it on my watch list this morning? Did I qualify it out? No, didn't qualify on my watch list just because of the swap in liquid 50. But that's my system. So it's up to you if you want to sort of take note of that or not. So GU, where did you go short? Have you already gone short, or are you looking at going short? Have a look on the daily. Would be great if I just clear my drawings as well. It gets a little bit messy. It's been coming higher since end of July. Around 1.4. So you're thinking of it coming short, down, further down, swinging back down? I mean, the L50 is in the sell zone, so potentially. You can see it's previously been at a little level here on the 4 hour. I know so many people are super clean with these support and resistance levels, but I don't rely on it too much. I use it as more of like a confluence, so I don't really worry about it being perfect as such. But yeah, I can see that sort of level here previously where prices come lower. And again, price looks like it's sort of rejecting that level. It might come lower. It might have come back for a little retest. This is just shown on the 4 hour. And let me just check the hourly as well. Don't worry, guys. I'll be covering CAD CHF. It was on my watch list, so all good. On monthly support, brilliant. So yeah, GU. Try to see if I can find any divergence or anything like that in favour. No. Where are you looking at short in this? I feel like if you were looking at higher time frames and coming off that cable, it might have already gone. To be quite honest with you, I'd be looking for like an entry signal, and I would be looking for bearish divergence in my favour to consider going short with that. And because I can't find any of those, I can't really say for sure that's going to come lower. As you can see, the liquid 50 is rising and coming higher. I'm not going to say it's not going to go short, but yeah, it's not really a great biased direction of trend for me there. I mean, if you took it short, maybe on the 1 minute today, there could have been a bit of bearish divergence on the 1 minute to take advantage of. Nope. Oh, actually, I think there might have been. So divergence is a big part of my system. So it is something that I really recommend using. So bearish divergence is when price is coming higher, but then the TDI, which is the Traders Dynamic Index at the bottom here, is what I use with the ASFX system, and it's really handy, especially determine direction of trend. It comes in quite handy. With the bearish divergence, price coming higher usually tricks a lot of traders out, thinking that price is going to be in the direction of trend. However, sometimes it can sort of come off those levels, and it's good to have the TDI as sort of like a backup. So if you see that bearish divergence, you won't be looking to sort of long that. So looking on the 1 minute, just deep diving into that and trying to find an entry signal for what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for like a counter trend, be looking for a counter trend scalp on the 1 minute, just because it wasn't very clear on the 15. But for this to sort of qualify to be a 1 minute trade for myself, there's not a great TDI, and it would have to be in the sell zone for me to consider that coming short on the 1 minute. I'd probably say the best opportunity with it coming off the 8 and the 21 EMA using my system would be this little candle here. However, as you can see, the TDI isn't great. It's sort of crossing and then came lower. So it's still above the L50. So isn't a great TDI. So that would be a knock for myself. Again, with it being counter trend and the higher time frames are in the sell zone, then that's great. So I'd probably choose a 7 pip stop just after that little wick spike up here when it did come lower. And then potentially coming lower and getting about 4.5 R out of it. One minute divergence has not been there's not too much time on that either. It's time for that to sort of digest and come lower. There has been a little bit of movement, so there has been a bit of a downtrend already. So it could potentially be a late trade, and not because of the divergence, not late for the divergence to be involved and qualifying for this sort of trade. I think because it's already started that short descent, taking it on the 15-minute, maybe looking at the 15-minute, you might think, oh, it might come lower. That's why I've probably gone short. But yeah, that's all I'd look at with GU. Isn't something that was on my watch list. It was a good TDI on the 15 minutes to come lower, so maybe that's more confirmation for you. But I'm going to move on from GU and talk about the rest of my pairs. Okay. So yeah, let's go on what I've been actually trading today. So I'll start with GCAD because this is a trade that I was actually involved with, and then I'll go on to CAD CHF, guys. Don't you worry. Just don't want to run out of time. So this was a B setup idea, and the reason why it was a B for me was because it was overbought. So it was previously overbought on the 15-minute, just on this little region here. And usually when it's already been overbought, it means that there's not much room for price to come any higher. It is a knock on my trade, so it doesn't mean that I'm not going to trade it. As you all know, two knocks or more, I don't consider trading the trade myself. I leave it, I let it run in. If it goes 5 or 6R, brilliant. I'm happy that I've just stuck to my rules and I know exactly what I need to do now when it comes to actually trading. So when we look at the TDI, I liked the TDI because you could see the liquid 50 was still on top. It was rising. It's in the buy zone the whole time, so there's no swap in liquid 50s. It's not coming in and out of the buy or sell bias. It tells you that it could potentially come higher, and then taken into higher time frames. You could see the L50s in the buy zone, good TDI on that as well. So the liquid 50 at the bottom, trendline and RSI at the top. Going on the 4 hour, again, great L50 in the buy zone. TDI could be better there, but then it was the 1 hour TDI that looked great for me. And the TDI, the 1 hour TDI is quite important if you're taking trades on the 15-minute. I think if the TDI on the 1 hour is good, I think the 15-minute TDI gives it a little bit more confluence there. But as you can see, it was very bull bias on all time frames. So it was all looking to go long with GCAD. I loved the entry candle on this as well. So I was actually a little late into this, but I did actually take advantage of that. So I loved the shift candle, and I was doing I was trying to find out doing my risk calculations, and then the second candle did open and did come lower, but I was happy. So I actually got in at 173.963. And it was when this secondary candle at 8:30 was coming lower, I actually got in here. So even though this candle was coming lower, I took into consideration this candle and the actual trade itself. And I thought, yeah, I'm a candle out. It's coming lower, but I have belief that this is going to come higher just based off my testing and all the research that I've done. So I was happy with GCAD. It was a great trade. I got 3R out of this, if a little bit more than 3R. Didn't close any profits just because it was holding the 8 very well. I did put it in profit, and it was just below these two candles here. I can't remember precise. I think it was about, I did maybe 1.7400. Yes, it would have been, yes. So I like putting my stop losses at significant levels. So 3 significant figures I like to have, and that's just, it's probably me and my OCD kicking in there, but it is something that I like doing. So yeah, it held this 8 EMA very well, and I didn't put my stop loss in profit until price started coming a little bit lower. So I was in, so my stop loss was here, and I was still in profit here. And I wasn't actually paying attention when this sort of consolidation or and lack of volume on the candles there started coming about on the 8 EMA, and because of that, I thought, well, I'm in the trade now. I've took my risk. I'm in profit. I don't need to take any partials. I'm happy to keep this running. So my risk reward was set to the previous high on last Thursday. I thought that was a great key level to go off. I wish I kept this running, but because I was involved with Euro JPY, I just didn't want to be greedy. I was happy to close at 3%, and it was a great trade for me today. There was room for risk reward. It was overbought, which you already know about. That was the one knock. So that's why I had it as a B setup today. It was a great shift candle, as you can see. A brilliant shift candle. Absolutely loved that. It broke the Asian range already. So yeah, the only thing that was wrong with that was this little bit of overbought within Asia. But I could see, again, price was still holding this 8 EMA from the Asian session. So it was just a case of coming back off the 21 EMA, testing the 21 and continuing higher. And because the higher time frames were so great, I couldn't leave it. I had to get involved. But as you can see, if I was looking to sort of take this higher, which I wish I did, but I was involved with another trade, which Euro JPY, which I will go through as well. There was the second target roughly about here. And the reason why I'd pop it here, so about 1.74600 as an average, is because when price was rejecting this level with these previous wicks, I thought that was a good secondary place to put my stop loss if I wanted to close 50%, 30% and leave the rest running to ADR maybe. And it did go to ADR. So was anybody in GCAD? Did anyone hold it to to the end of the day because it just didn't stop coming lower. Like there's potential for me to get 5.3R on that, but I was happy with my 3% from today. Lorenzo, are you holding GCAD or CAD CHF for longs? But yeah, I was happy with that. If anyone's got any questions about GCAD, reach out. I will post it on my Instagram just because I know a lot of people are saying that I don't post enough to my Instagram feed. I do post it in my story highlights if you do want to keep updated with that. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, done GCAD, tick you off. So CAD CHF, thanks for the patience, guys. So CAD CHF, I actually had this marked up as an idea on Monday for it to come lower. So I seen this little key region where price kept sort of rejecting that level on the 15-minute. It was also present on the half hour as well. And the only thing that was stopping me with this was the swap in liquid 50. So as you can see, price was in the sell zone and then came through the buy zone. And the TDI wasn't great either for this shift candle at 3 o'clock. So I left it. However, if you was to consider swinging this CAD CHF, you would have got an amazing risk reward out of it because it was one of those pairs, again, that just continued going lower. So as you can see, throughout Asian range and throughout today, it was just testing the 8. It did come lower, so it did make an Asia high to the top of the ADR level here. But apart from that, it just kept holding the 8 and coming lower. So again, if you wanted to sort of take that further and keep the profits flowing there, you could have got about 5R out of that. And then just taking into consideration the higher time frames as well. As you can see, this has been short since the start of the month, 7th of July. It's been holding that 8. So it's got a very, very, very strong short bias on it. Going on to the 4 hour, again, very strong short bias, liquid 50, trend line and RSI absolutely perfect there. You could have even took this as an A1 on the 4 hour, so you could have took this here. But I can see are people wanting to buy this? Are people wanting to sort of seeing that prices come lower off this level and sort of going higher? People have been talking about the monthly. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, the monthly. What I'll do is I'll remove my drawing just to make it a little bit easier. So with the monthly, it's still short biased. So it's still in the sell zone here. It is at this sort of key region where all these candles have been previously. However, there's been a break of that sort of pattern. So it's already come lower. So, I mean, the 21 and the 8 hasn't actually crossed on the monthly either. So that means that this could potentially just test the 21 and come higher, while people are sort of wanting to, I think what people are wanting to do. So it depends what sort of time frame you're trading there. So if you were trading the daily, and if price was to sort of come off that 21 and come higher, the TDI doesn't seem to be coming any higher either. It seems to be sort of being quite steady and quite slow. TDI and the trend line are a little bit higher, but apart from that, the monthly itself, you'd either look at coming higher to this key level where the wicks have been previously, so that's about a 10R trade altogether, or alternatively, you can look at sort of continuing the short bias. So I think you can go pretty much both ways with this at the moment on the monthly. If you wanted to come a little bit lower. However, that would be a little bit more risky because as you can see, the range on here is massive. especially with it being on the monthly. So there's a lot of movement, and it's not a sort of clear and consistent cut level. It's at different regions. So 0.69, 0.66, 0.675. So when you're trading on smaller timeframes like myself, which are the 15-minute and the half hour, it's difficult for me to sort of get a great bias off that. But yeah, maybe looking at on the 4 hour and the daily a little bit more, just get a little bit more confirmation. Move this. So as you can see, there's been bullish divergence previously, and price did come higher a little bit here, mid-July, so it did come higher, but it is sort of swinging off and coming lower here. It is sort of testing that key level here as well. So it might come a little bit lower before it comes higher. Potentially down to this region here, 0.71. But I can see why people are looking to sort of go along with that. But then I can also see why people will be looking at going short as well. So it's better indication when you look on the 1 hour. For me personally, when you're looking at key levels, because I think the monthly and the daily, sometimes it can have a little bit too much range, especially if you wanted to trade on the 15-minute or the half hour. When you say the monthly support, do you mean this region here? This section here, where price has sort of tested these sections? This is CAD CHF Salvador, by the way, if you want to sort of catch up with that. What time frame are you looking at trading this, Lorenzo? But yeah, with that, because I don't take into consideration higher time frames like you guys do, it could come higher. As you can see, you've got that key level here that I would use. But if you're looking at the weekly and the daily there, personally, I'm not sitting here and saying it's wrong, but I wouldn't use it just because price has already sort of come lower off that level already. So to me, it's already broke that sort of key support region down here. If people use that and sort of continue off that level and that comes higher, brilliant. But yeah, if it has broken, I sort of try and find a new support level and support system. But yeah, in terms of had CHF and white qualified from my watch list today, it's because it was in the liquid, it was in the L50 was in the buy zone. Sorry, the sell zone. So because it was in the sell zone, I was looking at going short with this, especially with it sort of continuing on from the previous week and the previous day. So as you can see, it's just been falling. And then also, I'm going to quickly cover Euro JPY. So this is another trade that I was involved with. So with Euro JPY, it was a counter trend trade. As you can see, I've got the bullish divergence at the bottom. We're coming off this key level here. And this key level was on the 4 hour, the 1 hour and the half hour. So I thought it was quite a strong point. So I'll just go back and show you. So it's this section here. So obviously before these candles, it was roughly about here. So I liked how price sort of tested the waters here, came higher, came lower, tested the waters, came higher, came lower. So I was expecting this to sort of rebound off here and come back higher. But as you can see, it did come lower. There was quite a few yen pairs that were sort of doing the same pattern, and I'll have a look at those with you as well briefly. So on the 4 hour, I liked that region. I liked how we had some sort of confluence, especially if you wanted to go long. There was something for me to sort of trade off, if you want to sort of put it in those terms. You can see it on the 1 hour there as well. So price rejected there, and then also here. So it was coming higher. And out of all of the yen pairs that made this pattern, this was probably the most successful one. It did come lower. It did break that sort of key level, which is fine. It does happen. But it did have risk reward to the daily pivot. I got about just short of 2R on this. Yeah, so just short of 2R. So if I would have got 2R on that, I probably would have considered sort of taking some partials there. But I stuck to my rules. I put my stop loss in profit and I didn't lose any money at all. It absolutely plummeted, and I think it might have been news driven. So with Euro JPY, my thought process with this, I like the TDI. The liquid 50 was still in the sell zone, but it does happen quite frequently with counter trend trades, which I'm happy with, because we're looking at going against the trend anyway. So it was short biased, so it did go lower because it was actually short biased on all the different time frames. But the reason behind the counter trend trades is sort of coming off those key levels and moving against the trade. I like the bearish divergence on the 15-minute and the half hour. So because it was on the half hour, I liked how it was also present there as well. It was oversold on the 15-minute, but I'd be looking for that anyway. Just because when it's oversold, usually price sort of rejects from the oversold region. If it gets to a point where it does fall below this 30 region, then it is considered oversold, which means that sometimes price can actually come back higher. And it did come back higher briefly. But the issue with this could potentially be risk reward. As you can see, there was a little bit of a resistance level here, where price tested, and come lower. So it didn't actually break this region. It was lucky because on my story I was saying how I want price to sort of come higher than the Asian range for me to consider putting a stop loss or even taking profit or partials. It didn't hit 2R. It was very, very close. So I didn't take any partials, but I just put my stop loss in profit. So I still profited a little bit. Oh, God, I think it was about 0.05% profit, but it was something. And obviously it wasn't a loss. So I stopped myself from losing, which was a win. And this trade pretty much went ADR to ADR. But as you can see, I wasn't actually trading with the ADR in this section. So as I started trading this trade, the ADR does tend to move towards the end of the day. So it goes off the actual ADR of price currently. So the ADR, for example, now will go off the high of day and the low of day. And it might even change throughout. So if this makes a new low of day before midnight, then we'd have a bigger ADR. So the ADR for this was probably about here. Daily pivot as well has stayed the same. The daily pivot does stay the same. It is just the ADR and the R multiples that do move, and the S multiples. So, like I said, I was involved with this. It is a counter trend trade, so they are less probable than the trend trades that I had on GCAD. I was happy with both of them. Price still went in my direction of trade. Just because I didn't get the risk reward doesn't mean I wasn't wrong with my bias. I could see where I was going with this. It just didn't go in my favor, and it's as simple as that. It happens. Trading's about probability. It's about you sort of defining your edge that much to the point where you feel like you're doing the best you can. And I do feel like I did the best I could. There's some people out there that wouldn't consider trading it because of going counter trend, not being confident with those. But I think I have gained a lot of confidence with these trades now, and just sort of being able to control the partial profits when you're taking profit, the risk reward involved as well. There's so much more to play than just sort of trading off a key level and waiting for 5, 6, 7 hours to sort of come out of a trade. You want to be taking partials, and you also want to be taking into consideration stop losses in profit. There's nothing worse than being up 4, 5% and then you ended up coming -1% because you've not took great risk management. So it's so important for you guys to sort of hold on to your profits. And I'm not saying close profits early. As you can see with my gold trade, I got a little bit hesitant. I put my stop loss to 18.18. If that would have continued lower and didn't stop me out, then it wouldn't be an issue. So I took my precautions well. I read risk reward. I read the implications of this trade, and I was happy with it. I was still in profit. So it's important, even if price doesn't go in your way, as long as you've got a system that you trust, that you can trade, and that consistently gives you profitability. These losses and these stop losses and break-even trades, they're absolutely fine. Like, it is going to happen. It's inevitable. It's going to be impossible for you to have any sort of 100% profitability with trading, unless you're a robot. But Lorenzo was saying GCAD looked like it was about to consolidate before buying. Let's have a look. Oh, I've removed it off my watch list, actually, haven't I? I want to double check if there's anything else that I could have covered today. So another thing that was great about GCAD was EuroCAD as well. So again, nice flat liquid 50 there, as you can see. And also with EuroCAD, it does move quite similar to GCAD with the GBP and the euro. But obviously that might change with Brexit and everything else going on soon. But yeah, with that coming higher, that just gives me a little bit more confidence that GCAD might come higher as well. There has been instances where GCAD and EuroCAD have moved completely separate directions due to news, more other fundamentals into play as well with that. But yeah, usually you like to see other pairs that are quite similar move in the same direction to just give you that little bit more confidence in the trade. Oh, didn't mean to remove that. Let me just grab UJ real quick. Okay, so CAD JPY, CHF JPY, and was it you? Yeah. So all of these were quite similar to Euro JPY, where you had the bearish divergence, looking to go long, looking to come higher. And out of them all, I chose the best of the bunch. So as you can see, the bullish divergence was there. It did come higher, but all of them plummeted. Absolutely all of them. And I had the best trade out of them all. So Euro JPY looked the best in terms of higher time frames. So if I was to take these setups that weren't as clean as Euro JPY, where the time frames weren't great at the time. So as you can see, the daily in the sell zone, 4 hour coming lower in the sell zone, the 1 hour in the sell zone. So there was a lot that I took into consideration before taking the trades, because there was a few opportunities that I could have got involved in. So it was this candle here, and it was a great TDI again. I didn't like it. I preferred Euro JPY because the higher time frames were more had a little bit more confluence. If I was to trade that would have been a straight loss. No stop in profit, no partial profits either. So I would have been screwed. So I'm glad I took what I know on board. with added confluence, added probability, and obviously it paid off, as you can see. With CHF JPY, I really wanted to get involved. I really did, because I knew it was going to come a little bit higher today. However, again, it was just the entry point. So coming off the 8 in the 21 EMA, they didn't actually cross until afterwards. So as you can see here, so about here was when they started actually crossing. So that would be 8:45, if not 9 o'clock in the morning GMT. And the divergence here as well, it is quite early. So for me to trade off here just after this bullish divergence, it's quite early for the divergence to set in. So if I was considering trading CHF JPY, I'd look at trading this candle, and it would have to be off the 8 as well. So because it was holding the 8 EMA, I couldn't find a great entry signal off it, and the TDI would have been best. Would have got 2R out of that, and taken into consideration that key level there from the previous day, so that previous that previous high, that previous low high on the CJ the previous day, I'd probably close that 2R, but because it was on the 8 EMA and it just didn't follow my rules, I didn't get involved. So, oh God, yeah, I've gone over now. Getting caught up on time. But yeah, that's it, guys. That is absolutely it. Has anybody got any other questions? So just to sort of summarize, GCAD was the winner, the absolute winner. Euro JPY was okay. And then we had a few other yen pairs that were looking good. However, Euro JPY just had that better added confluence on the higher time frames, which I would always choose over the shorter time frames as well. Euro AUD. I'm glad you asked about Euro AUD. So Euro AUD, I've been watching this, and there was a great trade opportunity before my session yesterday. And again, this is another sort of swing opportunity you could have potentially took. Again, major key level on the daily and the 4 hour. So let me just sort of pull that up for you guys. So yeah, daily key level was back in December 2020. So it's been a while since price has been back up to 1.62 as an average. So for this to come lower, I was quite confident about that. The L50 was in the buy zone, so it is something that I wasn't happy with. If it was in the sell zone, that would be more confluence, but it does look like it's quite bullish. And then on the 4 hour, there was actually this bearish divergence. So bearish divergence on higher time frames, I think, work very well, especially when you're wanting to do like a swing trade. Yes, I'd be selling Euro AUD indefinitely. And just because there's a lot more room for this to come lower. As you can see, price is still coming lower to now on the 4 hour. So, I mean, if you're looking at taking this on the 4 hour, I'd probably look at my target being around 1.59600 as a safe haven. I do genuinely believe that might come lower. Might be wrong there, just because I can see that little support region on the 1 hour. So mark that up a little bit as well. So it might just sort of come back off here and come lower. There's also the option of that. But then also, you can see it's already come back higher off that half-hour key level. That's also present on the 1 hour. So it might just sort of break this region. It's not oversold, so there's still room for this to come lower. But yeah, I think that might come lower, just taking into the higher time frames there. So yeah, this would be about 15R, which would be an insane trade, especially over, let's say, 2-3 days. Definitely 3 days, if not 4, maybe, if we've got a slow day tomorrow. And especially if it's sort of chopping about and it's not sort of going straight down and coming lower. So we'll see how Euro AUD plays out. That's my sort of bias on Euro AUD. If it comes lower, it comes lower. If it doesn't, it will probably reject here and come a little bit higher, but I've got faith that might come lower, especially with the liquid 50 still being in the sell zone. But yeah, we'll see. If this does come lower, I'd be concerned about divergence building. As you can see, it's previously overbought and it is coming higher on the TDI. So there is potential that some bullish divergence might come into play, might push that higher. So yeah, we'll see. I don't trade the peso, Lorenzo, so I'll have to give that a miss. You are committed as they come. Thank you very much. But yeah, guys, I've been talking a lot about everything. I'm glad that Russell as well has got involved, saying that he loves ASFX. Great news. ASFX is a really good community to sort of be involved with, especially if you are a new trader. 60.90. Nice. Yeah, nice. I'd say hold. Take some partial profits. It's entirely up to yourself what you guys do with your sort of trading. But yeah, that would either sort of come off this region and potentially come higher if they've got a bit of bullish divergence as well behind it, or you'd be looking at this sort of coming lower. But going off higher time frames, you can see that the 8 and the 21 has just crossed. The L50 is in the buy zone. So again, it might just sort of have a little retest and come higher, because that bullishness from May this year has just been so strong. It hasn't actually broke the 21 EMA since, God, when did it last break the 21? It last broke the 21 with a great shift candle back in May. So yeah, it's got a strong bullish momentum there, and it might continue. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the 4 hour closes. And yeah, guys, keep me updated with how you're getting on. But thanks a lot as well, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Really appreciate that. If you do want to catch me, just check me out below. You've got Niamh Forex on Instagram, and then you've also got my Twitter as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate you.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's stream. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to follow today's guest, by the way, on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to A1 Trading here on YouTube for more market coverage, trade ideas, and special guests. Our streams are made possible thanks to our sponsors, all of which can be found down below in the description. If you're looking for a new broker, consider checking out the links down below. We've partnered with a few brokers that we think you should check out. By signing up with one of these brokers, our company will receive a small affiliate commission, which does help us stay here on the air creating free stuff for you guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you back in the next one.